long have you been working for the state?
57 years,
And you started in
1954.
how did you end up coming to work for the
Well,
state attorney or county solicitor at the
I
time?
was taking a refresher course in typing in Fort Meade at Fort Meade High School at night, and the teacher told me about an opening that's going to be in the county solicitor's office in Bartow. Why don't you go and try? So I did. I came back 3 times before Judge Kelly hired me.
Did he make you take a typing test or anything like that, or did you just fill out some
No,
paperwork and a
no,
resume?
they didn't have a typing test back then. No, and not at all. I think I told him that I didn't want a job. I wanted to go to work, and so I think that impressed him when I said that to him. So he said, "Well, you got the job."
Now, you said it took 3 times?
Yeah, I came back 3 times.
Why did it take 3 times?
Well, I think it took 3 times because there were other people being interviewed for the job.
Now, what did he tell you after the 3rd time?
After the 3rd time,
Yeah.
he said I had the job.
Well, you were telling me earlier about how,
Well, he said, I told him I wanted a job and I wanted to go to work. And so then he said, well, you got the job. And at my retirement party, he brought that up and said that that's why he gave me the job.
that you were
He
being,
remembered it himself.
being persistent.
Right,
Okay.
being persistent and coming back.
What did you do when you first got here?
When I first came, I was a receptionist, and there was only 1 secretary. There was nobody but two people.
2 support staff.
Yeah, 2 support staff. Yeah.
And you had the county solicitor and anybody else in the office?
There was the county solicitor, and then there was 1 assistant county solicitor.
And what were the kinds of cases that you handled back then?
We handled Belita and moonshine, and we had to handle worthless checks, grand theft, grand larceny. We handled all the cases just about that we handle now, except murder, and the state attorney handled the murder cases.
You were in the old courthouse across the street?
I was in the old courthouse,
Which floor did you work on?
2nd.
Okay. And I'm assuming back then they either didn't have air conditioning or had it at limited basis, or
They had no air conditioning, and they had no elevator.
well, how was it like working
Well,
in the summertime there?
It was very warm. We had fans in the windows. And whenever they had a moonshine case and the case was disposed of, they poured the moonshine out in the gully behind the courthouse, down in to go into the drains. And of course, the fumes all came up to the windows where we were with the fans. We were constantly smelling moonshine. It was really funny.
Anybody run downstairs and try to save any of the moonshine?
No one tried to save the moonshine, no.
Now, Cliff Kelly was Judge Kelly at one point.
Right, one time, yes.
Okay. And he was county solicitor from when?
He was county solicitor.
Do you
Yeah.
remember from when to when?
Pardon?
The time period that he was?
No, I know it was I think he started in 54. He became county solicitor.
Okay.
And I really don't know. I think he was I would say about 3 or 4 years he was county solicitor.
And what was he like?
Judge Kelly was a very, very aggressive attorney. When he went into the courtroom, he tried 10 consecutive cases and won every one of them. which was Belita and moonshine. Most of them was like that. We also had cattle rustling back then, and he won all 10 cases that he tried, and one after the other. He was very, very good.
After Judge Kelly, who came in as county solicitor, do you remember?
Yes, Jess Wilson.
Okay, and what was he like?
Jess Wilson was a very humble attorney and very quiet spoken. And if you went in and told him something about somebody, he would never believe it unless he knew himself just what the circumstances were. He did not listen to anything anyone said about anybody unless he himself, had firsthand.
How was he as a prosecutor?
He wasn't as aggressive as Judge Kelly, as Clifton Kelly, the county solicitor. He was more laid back, but he got the job done. He won a lot of cases, but he was more subtle and more quiet and more like a Southern gentleman.
What would you say is your favorite job here over the years?
Over the years? Mm-hmm. I think my favorite job has been violations of probation.
Why?
Because I dislike it, I mean, you no sooner have a defendant plea and placed on probation, and 3 weeks he's back again. And you see these names, over. And we've always had such a good department. I know Jack Davis that worked down, that he retired from the clerk of the court in the civil division. He said, and a couple of girls came up here, and he said, I told them, I said, I bet you think you're dead and gone to heaven, going to work in the violation of probation department upstairs. It's just, we've always just had a good department, It's been good. Of course, I enjoyed supervising the felony, and all of them, they've always been good. They've always, been good to work with. Every department has. But they've, everything's grown, Sam, since, all that.
It has, and the caseload has increased, too.
Yeah, it's grown, And
is it any harder now?
Pardon?
Is it any harder now than it was when you first started?
No.
How about Tommy Langston?
Judge Langston?
Ring a bell?
Yeah, I know Judge Langston. Judge Langston is the one, he would call me about a VOP case, and when I answered the phone, I would say felony, and I should have said felony division Mary speaking, but I said felony Mary. Mm-hmm. That's how I got that name. He got that name felony Mary. He
was
gave
Judge
me
Langston?
That name. Yes, he did.
And it stuck with you all these years?
It stuck with me all these years. He's always called me felony Mary. Whenever I should have, that was improper for me to answer the phone like that. And it stuck with him. And he always called me felony Mary, and everybody else calls me felony Mary. And even when I retired, were you at my retirement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when everybody said so long, felony Mary, that was it.
Is there anything that you miss about the good old days, or things you'd like to see be done the way that it used to be done?
No, we've really come a long way. We really have, in the way things are today. And it's just a whole new ball game today.
If you had to do it all over again, if you can go back in time to talk to a young Mary and say, yeah, go into that business or don't go into that business, what would you tell yourself if you were able to do that now? Tell a young you.
Tell a young you?
You.
Tell myself as young?
Yeah.
Well,
What would you give as advice, or what would you tell her or yourself back then if you could?
Well, uh, it's very rewarding. It's the most rewarding job that you'd ever want. You know, it gets in your system. You know, it really does. It gets into your system, this type of work. When I first applied for this job, I had 3 children, and Archie's father was coach, teacher for me, and I decided I needed to do something else. So I heard about, you know, there's the opening in the county solicitor's office. I came back 3 times. And finally, Judge Kelly got tired of seeing me and hired me. That's what he said, you know. So, and that was the most wonderful feeling to know that I was going to work here. That was the most wonderful feeling. It's just I've never met a person in here that I didn't like, or hopefully they did not like me, you know. But I've never met a person I didn't like in here, you know. So, but I thank God every day that I've been able to walk in here and come in. I certainly do. I certainly do.